So welcome back. We're now halfway through going through the 6 reasons. The next one up is report sharing. So this is all a discussion about why I think Power BI is much better at Excel at sharing your data and your reports out with your company and even wider than that. Just as a little teaser, check this out. So I'm in Power BI. I'm in PowerPoint. There's too many powers. I'm in PowerPoint, and this is an embedded Power BI dashboard that I've just chucked straight into PowerPoint, and it's live. So you can see I can drill through, I can do everything I wanted to do. So how cool would this be to take to your next board meeting or next team meeting, to be able to filter and slice your data without even leaving Power BI? Now I think that's absolutely gorgeous, and I can see 1,000,001 reasons for that. So without further ado, let's get stuck into how you would do this, and also go through some of the other sharing options that you can do with Power BI. So let's get started. Right, so let's take a look at SharePoint. Let's imagine we've just created our most beautiful reporting dashboard, and it's got staff information on or salary information, and we want to be able to share that in a plethora of ways in various tools that Microsoft already have. So for example, you might have a sprint burn down chart that you'd like your team in Microsoft Teams to be able to view on a tab so they can see the velocity of the team. You might have some kind of partner pricing chart that you want to share with partners external to Microsoft, your Microsoft tenant. And so you potentially want to send that as a PDF over to them because you don't want to expose the entire report and dashboard with them. You might have an intranet where you'd like to store. You've done a particular survey for all the staff, and you've brought the survey information from Microsoft Forms into Power BI, and you'd like to be able to present the results of that straight on your homepage for your intranet. So there's quite a few ways out there that you'd want to be able to share the information. Another one is the one I absolutely adore, because now you can actually embed your live data from Power BI, so you can put a report into a PowerPoint presentation. Now, nearly every PowerPoint presentation I've seen probably has some kind of graph or metric in there to share with the people that want to view that PowerPoint. And very often what we'd have to do is we'd probably take a screenshot, or we may recreate the graph inside of PowerPoint. But now you don't need to do that. You can just embed the thing right side in Power BI. Because we've also been looking at Excel, we probably need to have a think about what's the options of Excel, because we're obviously, this whole series of videos I'm doing is basically trying to analyze whether Power BI is a better reporting solution than using the same kind of features within Excel. So let's just have a very quick think about Excel. Excel has been around for years. It's all done saved as an XLS file, and historically what we generally do as a company is we share that Excel spreadsheet out to users. We either email the file, so you create several copies of it, and you could also, nowadays, you can store it into OneDrive or SharePoint, and it's viewable in Excel online. But those really are the only ways you can share that information. And if you watch my security video, you realize actually it's not that secure, because as soon as you've got multiple copies of Excel pushed around all across many inboxes, or across many hard drives, it becomes hard to manage, and you can't really control who accesses the data. So Excel isn't really something that you'd probably want to embed inside other things. It's not really meant for that purpose, whereas Power BI was built with that as one of its main purposes for being in existence. So what I want to do now is I just want to show you quickly some of the options you get with Power BI to do with sharing. So I'm going to cover Power BI, how you share it in Teams, how you view it from the Power BI service, how you embed it inside a SharePoint, how you create PDF, and a couple of other goodies along the way. So, excuse me, let's get started. So this is the Olympics dashboard report that I've been mentioning so often throughout this presentation. This effectively is all the athletes from 1900 to 2000, all the results. So we've got information about what sport they took in, what medal they got, etc. I've already published this by going to File, Publish. I've published it to the Power BI service. Excuse me, I'm just going to drink a coffee. Got a frog in my throat. I've published that to the Power BI service, and that is now viewable. If we go here, and I'm in the Power BI service, if I go to my workspaces, So remember, you always publish your report into a workspace. And if I go into here and I look at my reporting dashboard, so what you get there is you've got the individual reports in, and this is exactly the same. So it's all interactive. Right. So just imagine now, though, you want to put that into SharePoint. You want to embed this entire thing into a SharePoint site. So what we've got here is we've got this thing called a sandpit, which is just the name of our SharePoint where we play and do videos like this. Let's go and create a new page. Now, I'm not going to make this beautiful. I'm just going to go blank because I just want to show the embed capabilities. But obviously, if this was an intranet page and you had web part regions on there, then you just embed it into one of them. So the way you embed Power BI is you add a web part. So let's go and add a web part here. Frequently used, Power BI. And then you just click add a report. Then you need the report link here. Now, the way to get that, the experience is actually easier in Teams because it gives you the ability to go and pick your workspace and pick your report. SharePoint web part doesn't really have that yet, so you can't find anything. So the easiest way to do it is if you go into the Power BI service and you go File and you go Embed Report, pick SharePoint Online, and then you get this lovely long URL, which is actually a link to the entire report. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to paste that into there, and I'm going to press enter. And there you go. That's gone away. It's queried the Power BI report, and now you can pick the actual report you want to put on. So that is that. If you wanted to, obviously, if you wanted to think about, so maybe you wanted to put just that chart in the sidebar of your SharePoint Intranet, because that doesn't look the best, obviously, because I've put the entire thing on. You can hide these as well to make it look a bit more minimal, but it's still too wide. You might, in many cases, just want to do that. So the advice there really is you could just create another report just with that one visualization on, and then you'd pick the page name there. So you'd have a new page, which is just purely for SharePoint. You might want to make that hidden. So you can go into the dashboard here and you see that little eye there, that's hidden. So when people view it in other sources, not the actual Power BI desktop, you won't be able to see that page. So you could do it that way. But effectively, that's the report inside of SharePoint, which is really cool. Next up, imagine we want to put this into Microsoft Teams. So what we could do there, I've got a team here called Club 365 Sandpit, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to pick Power BI, which is that one. And you'll see that the experience is a bit better in Teams because they guide you more. So there's my workspace. There's my athletes webinar. I'm going to click save and voila. If the people in your team have access to this, so if you've shared it, if you shared the report so they can see it and they do have a license, they'll be able to see this as well. So that's a really nice, easy way for your team to be able to see your Power BI reports. And as with everything, they're all interactive as before. You get the full experience of Power BI, which is brilliant. And the other way you might want to share your information is in PowerPoint. Now, this is actually my favorite. So imagine you've got a board meeting tomorrow and it's with all of the execs and you're going to show off the latest sales data for your region. Now, if it's tomorrow, currently the only options you really have is you can take a screenshot of the charts and you can embed them in PowerPoint, and hopefully that data is going to be good enough. But obviously you're making so many sales because you're the best sales rep in the world that by tomorrow your sales could be even better. And so what you can do is you can embed Power BI straight into PowerPoint. And that also gives us the added advantage because you'll get the inevitable questions when you're doing your presentation. It's like, Mark, why are the sales so great in Paris when they're not so good in Berlin? And you can start to answer those questions live in that presentation by using the interactivity of Power BI, which is awesome. So how do we do that? Well, it's actually really easy nowadays. So all we need to do, let's go and create a completely new blank PowerPoint presentation. And let's go blank presentation. And let's just create a new full page. And I'm going to pick the insert option and pick Power BI. Right, so now what that's going to do, that's now asking us for a report URL. Now, how do you go and get that? Well, it's really simple. You go back to the Power BI service. So I'm in app.powerbi and I'm in my workspace. And then all you do is you go export. So it's not under the file menu like the Sharepoint was. It's export here. Embed, excuse me, live data. Copy that. Go back to here. Paste that in. Insert that. And voila, you've got your data in there, which I think is absolutely wonderful. And obviously once the data's in, it's all interactive as well. So once you get those questions I mentioned you're probably going to get, you're going to be able to analyze your data and give the exec team the answers they need during that presentation, because you've got the full experience of all your data in the reports in your presentation, which I absolutely love. There is other options as well where you can, if you've got like a WordPress site or a public facing site, you can go and embed, if it's turned on in your tenant that is, you can go and embed the report so it's anonymously accessible, but there is a couple of caveats. One, you have to have no security on it, so no row level security. And two, that means that anybody in the world, if they know that URL, can get to your Power BI report. So that's the only caveat. The one last thing I do want to show you, if you wanted to do this is really, really cool. So if we go back to here, cancel that. This subscribe, now this is where it definitely differs from Excel, because this is really cool. So what you can do is you, as an end user, you can subscribe to get regular reports via email from Power BI. Now the way you do it is you literally just create a add new subscription, you give it a name for your email, obviously an optional title, and then you give it a list of email addresses that are going to be emailed this report at 9:45 a.m. Obviously you can change the time, you can set an end date, etc. And then I think I might have a copy of one of those that's just popped in, so let's have a look. Let's go to office.com and let's bring up Outlook. There might be an email in here that's one I've just got in. Yeah, here we go. There you go. So that's what it looks like. That's an image, but you can, obviously you get a snapshot of the actual report there, and you can also click and go straight to the report. So that's quite good for, like busy people that can't be bothered looking in here all the time, or maybe they're remote workers, but they need to be able to see their sales data for their region, for example. So that's really cool. So I think in summary, you can see that one of the things that Microsoft have built into Power BI is that they've really, really thought long and hard about sharing. I've not even shown you some of the other options. Like if you're a developer, you can embed your Power BI charts into your applications. There's loads of ways to share. And I think that's such an important thing to do when you're talking about MI data, because so often that data is important for people, not just yourself, but everybody else. And if you roll that sharing in with the built-in security, I think that's a way more robust way to share business information with end users than Excel, where you have to give the data as well. So hopefully that's helped, and hopefully you're excited about sharing your Power BI reports.